Hello, it is me again, Becky. Thank you for stopping by. Today we're in the dark, or should I say the shadows, because today you're going to get some book recommendations featuring characters with shadow powers. Yes, your shadow daddies, and maybe one shadow mommy. Fun fact, I hate the term shadow daddy and shadow mommy. I think they sound stupid. I would prefer we call them shadow kings and shadow queens, but that's just me. Anyway, I have no idea how this video is gonna look when I edit it. It may be completely black. You might be able to see a little flash of something, but if you can't see me at all, I will insert cover images. Don't worry. And just close your eyes and think of this as a podcast. I know that this trope is incredibly overdone and some people are tired of seeing it. And as much as I hate the term shadow daddies, I actually do like a character with shadow power. I wish we could get characters that looked a little different with shadow powers, but alas, most of these, if you look up fan art, they all pretty much look the same. So my first recommendation is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. In this, we follow a girl who doesn't want to get married, so she makes a deal with the devil, essentially, and he grants her immortality. So we are following her through the centuries as she lives her life and tries to deal with the fact that nobody can remember her once she walks away. And in this book, the character with shadow powers is Luke, the devil himself. My next recommendation is Wed to the Lich by Layla Faye. In this, we follow Virgil, who is one of the last remaining leeches. I don't think I said that right. That makes him sound like a bloodsucker. Lich? I think it's lich. Anyway, he is pretty much a skeletal man who people think is the embodiment of death and bad luck. But he needs to be married, so he enters into an arranged marriage with Mary, who is a human dealing with some body dysmorphia. Mary is dealing with anorexia, and she doesn't think she's beautiful in the skin she's in. She thinks that she needs to be skinnier in order to be beautiful. And Virgil, being a skeleton man, he looks at her and he thinks she is beautiful in her thinness. And in this relationship, Mary discovers a warmth and kindness in Virgil that she's never known before. And of course, Virgil is our shadow wielder. He is different. He is not your tall, dark-haired, broody bad boy. He is a skeleton. My next recommendation is A Kingdom of Stars and Shadows by Holly Renee. This is about Adara, who is forced into an arranged marriage with a Fae prince to benefit her kingdom. There's a prophecy stating that if she marries this Fae prince, her kingdom will flourish, pretty much. But it is not the Fae prince who attracts her attention. It is his half-breed Fae brother, who is acting as her bodyguard, Everin, who attracts her attention, and they end up falling in love. Everin is our shadow wielder, and if you're looking for a fantasy romance that is 90% smut, 10% plot, here you go. This was a fun time for what it was, okay? Just don't go into it expecting it to be some epic fantasy romance, because it's not what you're gonna get. You're gonna get high smut, low plot, just there for a good time. My next recommendation is Shardless by Stephanie Fisher. This is a fantasy romance that is very underrated. This is about Tally, who is a human that grew up and was adopted by a noble Fae family. She is human living in this world where humans are not supposed to have any magical abilities. But as she grows, she learns that she is developing magical abilities that could really get her adopted family in trouble if they are found to be harboring her. So she runs away to try and save not only herself, but her family, which includes her best friend, Sky. But as an adult, she takes on these odd jobs of trying to hunt down artifacts for other people. And she gets in a spot of trouble one day, and her best friend, Sky, ends up saving her, and in return for saving her, he wants her help to try and track down a magical gateway that will lead to a different realm. And in doing so, they spend more time together, and she's going to have to reveal her secret to him sooner or later. Sky is our shadow wielder in this book, and he's a little bit different as well. While he is the dark-haired love interest, He's more of a golden retriever than a broody bad boy, which I really loved. My next recommendation is How Does It Feel by Janine O'Reilly. In this, we are following a woman named Callie who is trying to hunt down this mysterious moth that she saw as a child that led her to discovering fairies. And she thinks if she can find the mushrooms that these moths are attracted to, that will lead her to finding the fairies again as an adult. And one day she's in the forest and she stumbles into a fairy ring of mushrooms and she falls down into the Unseelie court, where there she is met by the Unseelie king Mendex. And Mendex is a horrible person. And he tortures her and he puts her through the ringer and demands that she enters into these trials, that if she wins, he will set her free. And Mendex, of course, is our broody, dark-haired bad boy with the shadow powers. My next recommendation is A Dark and Secret Magic by Wallace Kinney, which is a contemporary paranormal. In this, we follow Kate, who is a hedge witch who just wants to mind her own business, but when her estranged sisters come back into her life, and her childhood crush Matthew, who dabbles in dark magic, returns to her life, she is forced to offer them all sanctuary, leading up to the Samhain celebration. And with them all up in her life and her space again, she ends up discovering some secrets about her family and how they once dabbled in the dark magic that Matthew also dabbles in. This does have a death in the maiden trope, and Matthew is our shadow wielder. Next up is The Unmarked Witch by Miranda Lynn. This is about Raven, who lives in a world where witches wear their spells on their skin like tattoos, but Raven is unmarked for some reason, and when there is a mysterious death for one of the coven leaders, she enters these trials and competitions to try and become the next coven leader. And there she ends up meeting the Dark King and falling in love with him. And of course, the Dark King is the one with the shadow power. I'm not going to tell you who he is though, because that's kind of something you need to read the story to find out. Next, we have Anathema by Carrie Lake. In this, we are following Maveth, who lives in this very religiously stifling village. And when things start to happen, Maveth is accused of having powers that she shouldn't have. So to save herself, she ends up running into the eating woods that surround this village. These woods are woods that when people are sent into them to die, nobody comes out. And when Maveth goes in, she is expecting to try and find her sister who was forced into these woods, and in there she ends up finding this portal to this other Fey realm. And this Fey realm is dark and dangerous, and people are trying to kill her, including Zavander, who was actually sent to her village to kill her, but he didn't for some reason. So he ends up offering her sanctuary and is willing to help her try to find her sister within the eating woods to see if she's still alive. And in this one, Zavander is our shadow wielder, and his shadows are a little bit unique in the sense that when he wields them, he wields death. Next up is The Broken Blade by Melissa Blair. So this is about Kira, who is a half-breed assassin for a human king. And when his life is put in danger, she is sent to the enemy Fey realms to try and track down who his assassin was. And there she ends up meeting the Fey people and realizing that the stories she has been told about this Fey realm are completely different than what is reality. They are not as deadly and dangerous as she has been led to believe. And there she ends up meeting a man who can wield shadows and can talk to plants. I'm not going to tell you who he is though, because again, that's part of the reason you need to read the story. My next recommendation is Spookily Yours by Jennifer Chipman, which is almost a rom-com, kind of. It is about a witch named Willow who just wants to live in this little town with her sister and just mind her own business. When she goes to this animal shelter to adopt a cat, she ends up unknowingly adopting a literal demon cat who is cursed to stay in this cat form. But they end up breaking the spell, and out comes Damien, who is one of the princes of hell. And he was sent to this world to try and find his brother's future queen, and instead he ends up finding his own queen. And of course, Damien is our shadow wielder, and Damien uses his shadows in some fun, sexy ways. Let's put it that way. Now let's talk about The Vampire's Bargain by Jasmine Mull, which features the one and only shadow female that I have met. This is about Katana, who is a witch who was betrayed by her former lover and locked in a prison for 50 years. She is a renowned vampire hunter, and she is awoken by Max, who is a vampire, and he wants her help to kill his vampire king. So they reluctantly become allies, and she ends up falling in love with him. She's the shadow wielder, and that is something incredibly unique, and that's really sad that just a female having shadow power makes this book stand out to me. But if you're looking for one that has a female shadow wielder, here you go. And I couldn't make this list without including two of the most popular shadow wielders of one of the most popular fantasy romance series, Rhysand and Azriel from ACOTAR. They can both wield shadows. And my shadows are dissipating, so it's a good time to end this recommendation video. But let me know down in the comments who is your favorite shadow wielder, or let me know a book that features a shadow wielding character. But if you don't want to comment that but would like to let me know that you made it to the end of this video, could you just leave me a black heart emoji, please? And with that, thank you so much for watching, and until my next video, go out there and read a book featuring a shadow wielder. Bye! This video was the biggest pain in my ass to film because I had to film under a blanket.